Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to another edition of Oh Man, That's Awful. Coming to you from the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Carl Kozlowski, and with me is...
I'm Kevin Corcoran. Carl, we need to tinker with your definition of luxurious. We need to go back to the drawing board.
Don't have to alter the magic for the listener.
Where were you before
the magic. The magic.
All right.
Anyways, it's beautiful, people.
We're selling the sizzle, Kevin. Selling the sizzle.
It's Trumpian gold-plated everything. But with us today is a very special guest, as always, somebody very fascinating, telling us some incredible stories about things that they had to overcome. And today, it's a guy that's kind of a legend in comedy circles because he was diagnosed with cancer and had just been like a relatively new comic at that point. But his dream was to be on David Letterman's show. And he basically raced the clock to make it onto the show within what he believed was going to be a mere 2 years or so to survive. As he went on to create a book and a fantastic documentary, both called Dying to Do Letterman. And with us today, I welcome Steve Mazan. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Wow. So, glad to...
Special.
Yeah. Well, glad to have you here again. I had you on another Titans show a couple of years back when Letterman was going off the air.
Yeah. It was
any thoughts?
He's back now.
That wasn't your fault, by the way.
No, I didn't push him away.
I just want to clarify.
You're not the Ted McKinley of talk
Thank
show.
you. I have been blaming myself.
That wasn't the clock you were racing.
When parents split up, like you blame yourself. Like, was it me?
Exactly.
It's always the comics who suffer.
Exactly.
So I mean, any thoughts about how before we get into your amazing story? I mean, any thoughts about Letterman's comeback and what's up with that beard?
It's funny, just he got the beard pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like within a month, right? There were the shots of him jogging out there. And
it was
you're like,
terrifying.
Oh my God, he's given up. He's basically writing a manifesto out in Montana. I like the beard.
I just have to interrupt quickly.
Oh, I apologize. Oh my God.
Dr. David Robinson has a.
I should be
our sound
aware
guy
of
there
my
has a beard.
surroundings.
I just want to say it's not a sign of giving up. It's
Well, for him, when he's looked like totally
point.
different his whole life.
well, yeah, but I mean that's I think in Letterman's case, and also Jon Stewart had a retirement beard
They've
for
all
a while.
done it. Conan,
It's the thing of
whenever
you
they take some time
like
off.
for 20 years, whatever, you have to shave every freaking day of your life, be TV ready.
Mm-hmm.
So, first thing, wait, I don't have to do that anymore?
It's just like Rosie
Kimmel
O'Donnell.
now has a beard on the air.
It's like Rosie O'Donnell's back hair.
Just let it go now. Just let it go.
And in all fairness, Dave, your manifesto is poetry.
Well, thank you.
Wait a second. Now you had one?
Well, it's... Cabin rental is cheap. You just don't pass opportunities like that up.
Take it when you can. It always seems silly to me because someone asked me last night if I had seen his new show, and I haven't seen it yet. As big a fan as I am.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But I think he still only has the Barack Obama one out, right?
There's
Yeah,
a Clooney one coming
the
at some
Clooney
point.
one I think is coming out today.
Right.
I think today is the
that should be
release
fun.
date.
That's a long... Like, let's say you're doing a series. Are you ready? What's that, a month?
Well, it's a monthly show.
Is that what it ends up? Okay, is that they're
Yeah, it's a
calling
really arduous workload.
Yeah.
So I love when people remember when there was Destiny's Child, and then Beyonce was like, "Well, I need to leave. I need to go off on my own." And then the next time we saw her, she was doing Single Ladies, which was her and two other backup dancers, which was basically Destiny's Child, right? Like it's like I don't want to be part of a 3 group anymore. And then we see her through. It feels the same way with Letterman a little bit. Like I'm done. I want to walk away from this, and now he's back. Like if he was going around, not cars with coffee, but going to working drive-thrus, doing some of the funny stuff, I would get it. But I don't understand. Now you're just back doing an interview show again? Yeah.
Without Paul Schaefer.
Right, exactly.
Poor Paul.
Minus your producers.
Although
the
Paul
stage
Schaefer
manager.
did do the theme music for the show.
Well,
so he's getting the residuals.
That's not
Is it
nothing.
any good? I can't remember.
I mean, it's, not something as memorable as, but then again, only seen the show once. So it's not like it has a daily repetition to get into your head. But God, what's his name? Was it Paul Anka wrote the theme the theme for the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And as if he didn't, have a career to bank on already. That, definitely kids are going to college on that.
Yeah.
Bob Mould did the theme for the Daily Show from Husker Du.
That's still used, right?
Yeah. variation. And oh god, what's his name? Tim from Junkyard did the theme for Craig Kilborn. Or not Craig Kilborn, Craig Ferguson.
Oh, really? That's a great
Late Show. So yeah, it's Schaefer's.
I just hate that
yet
Paul
another in
Anka.
that.
I hate Paul Anka so much. Thinks he's so great.
I miss Letterman
Yeah.
so much that I watched that Barack Obama episode 5 nights a week at 11:30. I think I've got it memorized by now.
That's funny.
Thank you.
Put in your own intro and outro there.
So, but any thoughts about the beard? I mean, is that just bizarre or what? Or just same as the rest of us?
I think that I'm sure that's what it is. I didn't have to. I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But it is shocking. Just seeing him that way, right? He does look like such a different person. Like when you first saw it, and it was one of those telephoto lenses.
Yeah.
The first shot you got of it, you know what I mean? So he was jogging, and it really looked like he's up to something.
It's like that Bigfoot in the woods kind of thing. Like, oh my
right,
god,
exactly. It's jarring. But good for him. Now he's kept it.
I want to find out, just from your experience, having been on the Late Show, what was that day like for you? Like starting at the beginning, and and in your documentary, unfortunately your wife couldn't have been with you; she was sick. But take us through getting to the show and the green room and the run through and
I got kind of a funny backstory I'll share with you really quick about it. So I'm a huge Letterman fan. You can see it if it's in the movie or which is on Amazon right now. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free.
Yeah.
So if you have it, it's free.
So we got it.
I had went about so that was 2009. In 2004. Maybe end of 2003, I had never been to the show. I grew up in the Midwest and then moved to the West Coast, so I had never had the chance. So I go to the show, big Letterman fan, and my buddy's going to meet me. He's from Boston. He takes the train in, and he's supposed to meet me. So they come out and they give this whole talk. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the show.
I had a contact there, so I went 10 times.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So you might have had extra service having a contact there, but you kind of wait in a line outside, and then eventually they come out and they're like, okay, we're going to be going in a few seconds. They get everyone in a single file, so I'm waiting for my buddy, and he's not showing up. He keeps texting me, I'll be there in 5 minutes, and now it's been 20 minutes, and finally, they start loading the line in, and they're like, is your friend here or not? And I was like, he says he's going to be here, and they're like, well, we'll give you 5 more minutes. That's it. So everyone goes in except me. I'm standing outside by myself, waiting for my buddy. And he finally texts and he's like, "Got held up. I'm not going to make it in the next 5 minutes." And so I was like, "All right." So the lady comes back out, Paige, and she goes, "Is your friend here?" I go, "No." And she goes, "Well, good news is because you're alone, we're going to give you a seat right up front. You're going to get very front row on the stage." And I was like, hell yeah, all right. So nice. I'm excited. So now they take me inside. Now I have missed, when I walk in, they're doing wrapping up a little briefing with everyone in the kind of group. And we're kind of in a stairwell. And they're like, okay, we're going to go in a second and, remember all the rules we gave you? I didn't hear any of the rules. And let's go. And so I'm pumped. I'm sad my friend's not there, but I'm pumped. I'm going to be in the front row. And past this kind of stairwell, and this guy, another page, is hanging over the side of a stairwell, and he goes, "Who's excited to see David Letterman?" And I pump my fist, and I'm like, "Me, woo!" And yell, scream. And he goes, "What did we say?" And some security guy comes and grabs me and pulls me out of line.
Oh no!
And they're like, "What did we just tell you?" I go, "Who's excited to see David Letterman?" And they're like, "No, we told you not to woo. You're only allowed to clap and laugh."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't in here for that." And they're like, "No, you're out. Rules are rules." Now they're booting me. And luckily, the girl who had kept me outside waiting for my buddy came up and she goes, "No, he didn't know." And the guy's like, "It doesn't matter. That's the rule." Blah blah blah. So they're kind of battling. It was a little bit of Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger. They're fighting for my soul for a second. God. Kick him out. No, he can stay. And so finally they compromised. I had to sit in the very back row up in the balcony. So I went from front row, and this ended up being, I don't know if you remember, Courtney Love tried to mimic the Drew Barrymore flashing Letterman. She was on, and she climbed up on the desk and flashed Letterman. So not that I wanted to see Courtney's breasts.
No, but still.
But it would have been a great one to be in the front row.
You'd think they'd give you a one-woo grace period.
Exactly. Come on. Let me off. So I had already had a little experience at Letterman, and it was just kind of funny.
Wow.
So anyways, but obviously that day, much different.
Yeah.
You can kind of see in the movie, I spent most of the day practice it in my room.
Running your set.
Like running the set over and over.
And just trying not to say woo.
Right, exactly. Like, would they kick me out if I woo on stage? Like, that would have been great. I do it in my set. Come on, buddy. You're out of here. You know the rules.
Would you say you were pretty anxious?
You know, it's crazy. I was anxious, but something happened once I got to the studio, and I don't know why. Even still, you know, as a comedian, you go out and you practice. So you go to coffee houses, open mics, bars, that kind of things that mean nothing. And this obviously meant a lot. But that day, for whatever reason, very anxious while I was at the hotel, running it through. I remember going to lunch. My buddy was in town, and we ended up going to Olive Garden. We were always laughing. You're in New York, greatest Italian food in the world. And we ate at Olive Garden just because it was close right there by the hotel.
It's right there.
But once I went over to the theater, for some reason, like a calm came across me.
That's awesome.
And like I said, I've been more nervous doing a coffee house 2 weeks ago than I was that day. For some reason, I don't know. It's one of those things. I always think about it. Like, was it something I ate? Was it the prep I was doing? Was it
those bottomless breadsticks?
Was it a little? Yeah. Was it a little magic? I don't know. That I just felt. A little calm. So I was upstairs. They finally take you. You come to a green room that's like a big, gigantic green room where it's open to everyone, and they have some catering. I remember that was the first place they took me. And when I walked over to the theater, they were doing Purina was sponsoring a dog tricks, stupid pet tricks kind of thing. But the tricks were the dogs jumping into pools. So like seeing the distance jumping, like these beagles running. So it was just fantastic. Great way to enter. You turn into the alley and, oh my God, there's these dogs running down a ramp and jumping into a pool. And it was like a circus a little bit. It was like, cool. Oh, this is kind of cool. And I'm on equal par with the dogs today. Like I get, this is both of our moments. And so I walked in. They put you in this big green room. There's some food and some catering, and I'm kind of nervous, but I want to soak it all in at the same time. Be like, this is your day. Make sure you get it. So, and then I look up, and there's some freaky guy like walked in, just the weirdest looking person I had ever seen. And it took a minute, and I was like, oh, that's Paul Schaefer. He didn't have his glasses on. He didn't have a backwards hat or anything like that. He wasn't in some fancy outfit. So he just looked. Strange. What I mean? It's like seeing Bozo without his outfit or something. And you're like, man. And I don't mean that. I mean, he's obviously, so much a part of that show and so incredibly talented. The list of things that guy has done is amazing. It was just so shocking to see him, outside of his normal thing.
Small hairless Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So he kind of sees I'm staring. He gives me a little nod, and that was nice. And eventually they take you up to your dressing room. They had these weird things at the Ed Sullivan Theater where the dressing rooms, and I think they've changed it now, the Colbert's there, but they used to be up high. You'd have to go up like 4 or 5 flights of stairs to get to it. Jeez. Or there was an elevator too that was really slow. So I was up there, and the band, the Magnetic Zeros, were next door. And so they had the band was like 20 people or something, and I'm just in there with myself, and then there was, the 2 filmmakers who made the documentary. I snuck them in as well. So they were in the room with me, and I went over and introduced myself to the band, and we kind of talked for a while, and I think that made me relax a little bit. And then eventually Doogie Howser was on the show, Neil Patrick Harris, and he was fantastic. He was the first guest, and I was worried about getting bumped. I knew usually they'll bump a comedian if he's at the end, but I was going to be in the middle, in between the band and Neil. But Neil was doing so good, they extended him for an extra segment. And I really thought, and I had talked to other comics, like there's one guy has a story about they gave him the Biff, the old stage manager, gives him the microphone, and he's like, okay, and blah, blah, blah. And then 10 seconds before he's supposed to go on, they just come up and just pull the microphone from him. And they're like, it's not happening.
Can you even imagine?
Yeah, so that's kind of going through. But again, for some reason, I can't explain it. I was just extra calm, and all I remember thinking is, all right, Neil, pull it back a little. Don't be too funny. And then he did wrap up his segment, and he comes back, and I'm right there. And he goes, oh, are you the comedian? And then we talked for a second, and he wished me luck. And, and then Biff gave me the microphone, and he's like, no, it's happening. And, so that was kind of the build-up to the day. Yeah. And, went out, and I was doing one, a lot of comedians have 10 jokes you're doing, but it was one long bit that I was a little nervous before that day about. But yeah, once I got out there, it was going so. It was so much fun on my, I don't want to brag and say it was going well, but it was just